Hello? Yeah. I think that everybody is in the house and everyone is using internet. Not this house, but in general, in the whole entire world. And the internet's maybe a little bit strained. Let's see if I can turn something down. Let's see if this will make it a little better. Hello? Hello? It says it's excellent connection. Hello? Hello? Is it working okay now? I don't know what's wrong with it. It's not to do with the internet connection. I think it's to do with so many people around the world using the internet. Oh, it's working okay. Is it working okay now? Yeah. Okay, we're back. We're back in the land of the living. When I actually signed on to stream, it was saying it wouldn't let me stream, and it's not to do with the internet connection. It was just saying YouTube can't stream at this moment or something. I can't remember the message. Oh well, it seems to be up and running again now. Hello. Nice to see you. So a lot's happened since we spoke last week for everybody around the world. Yeah, so I didn't mean to sensationalize the title. I forget what the title is. Do you have a future living with the coronavirus? But I just meant it as a reflection, as in, like, you know, like a month ago, me and my partner were attempting to buy a house together, looking for houses, and now suddenly this is just all out of the window. Like it's like irrelevant buying a house or not. It's I mean, it's a nice idea, but everything's kind of on hold. There's no buying of houses, there's no going to look at houses or anything like that at the moment in most countries. And we don't know what our future is going to look like. So that's what I thought the title should be, because we can't, none of us now. So if you thought, oh, I'm just about to get the promotion at work, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or I'm going to go on holiday in the summer, or I'm going to go on a retreat, I'm going to go to India. None of us know anything now. We're all like, okay, we just stay put. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, we've been forced out of having a future. So, which I think can be really beautiful if it's taken in the right way. But what? I forgot what the beginning of the sentence was then. I was talking about, just faded away. But yes. Yes, but yes. So the talk will be about that. But first of all, before I talk about that, I like to give a bit of an introduction. So first off, if this is your first time on live stream, the way that it works is that you watch through YouTube and you ask questions through Skype. I just turned Skype on. And if you'd like to call, could you just write a message and say, call me when you're ready, because it never works out. I'm 30 seconds behind you. So if you think, oh, I'll call when she finishes the next question, I'm always at a different time pace to you. So you can't actually predict that. And it's a bit difficult when you call in the middle of other questions. So if you just write, call me, please. Call me when you can. Or you can write out your question and I will read it out and I will answer it. My Skype address is Skype address is Lisa Cairns 12, and you can befriend me now. If you want to be anonymous, you can just set up a anonymous name. You don't have to put your correct name on Skype, so it would be anonymous. You can also get a voice muffler. You could put a sponge. Just imagining putting a sponge in my mouth. Makes my teeth go funny. Don't put a sponge in. Forget I said that. I can't even talk about it. You could put something in your mouth which could muffle it. You could chew gum. You could do whatever you like. Yeah. And then normally I advertise my events that are coming up, but you know, what's the point? None of us know what's going to happen. I do have a retreat that's still open at the end of May, but a couple of weeks ago I was like, yeah, just get insurance, you know, so if it is cancelled, you've got insurance. Now I'm like, oh, I don't know. I had a friend today that said that the horoscopes say it will be over by the 20th of May, and he was like, it's fantastic, it's just in time for your retreat. So, yeah. I always like to sit in silence first. So for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And this is why I've been training you all to meditate, is for your forced quarantine by the government. Like, this is what the purpose is. So you all thought it was about getting enlightened, or you all thought that I was trying to help you in some way, but actually I was trying to prepare you for when the government quarantines you with your whole entire family. And you're not even, I mean, if you're in some countries, you're not even barely allowed out for a walk. Yes. So what I do in sitting in silence is basically I just sit here. I just shut my eyes and I sit here and I let whatever arise. So if I've got a difficult emotion, I let it come up. If I've got difficult thinking, I let it come up. If I've got peaceful thinking, I let that come too. Peaceful feelings, like whatever's there, there's just a welcoming of it. But if that's difficult for you, like I've done a lot of meditation in my life, and if it is difficult for you to do that, then I can teach you a quick technique that you can do. Number one, you can do moving your attention into the I am. So moving your attention into presence. So it keeps drifting off into thinking about what's going to happen, the past, the future, and then it's just bringing it back to what's happening. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am a banana. Poof. So that's one you can do. The other one that you can do is the mindfulness of breathing. I learnt this from the Buddhists, and this is a very simple one. You basically count every in-breath. So as soon as the breath goes in, you count 1 and you follow it all down in your body, and then out, and then the next breath, 2, and out, 3, out, and that goes all the way up to 10. And when you arrive at 10, then you have to bring yourself back to number 1 again. So it's just 1 to 10. So you count the in-breath up to 10, and then you start again. And you'll notice it's not as easy as you think, because your mind drifts off and thinks about other things, and then you're suddenly on 10,096. So these are the 2 meditations you can do if you want to practice something. But I also give the disclaimer that even though you think it's you practicing, it's actually not. So scientists say that even though we think we're making a choice, the choice has been made up to 6 seconds prior to that choice becoming conscious. So when you're sitting there and you're thinking about eating an apple or an orange, when you consciously think, I'm going to pick the orange, it could be up to 6 seconds already decided in your unconscious. Isn't that cool? So I give these meditations as a description of what can happen rather than a prescription of what you have to do, because who is this you that's doing? Who? Let's just see if you're all still there. There's a little internet problem. Yes, there's excellent connection now. Those people that were blocking up the airways have left. Okay, so we just do a little while of that. Oh, hello. It's like speaking to my mum on FaceTime. So often when I speak to my mum, it's like this. She's getting better though, actually. I shouldn't make fun. I know my luck, she's going to be watching this one now. So, the title is, do you have a future? Not me, you. Living with the coronavirus. Sorry. So as I was saying earlier, I just felt very inspired to talk about this subject of whether we, well, I don't want to talk about whether we do or we don't have a future with the coronavirus. We don't know what's going to happen with the coronavirus. But what I wanted to talk about is like how you've lived your life with an image of a future. That you've always lived your life as if tomorrow is going to exist. Whereas it's always been uncertain. It's just that our society has been very stable, that it seemed like it was predictable. But in actuality, there's always been insecurity or uncertainty. Not insecurity in the person, but uncertainty in the society. We don't know what's going to happen, whether there's a disease, whether there's a war, all these different types of things. What meteorite hits the planet can totally change what your future is. But that's not the point. In actuality, living with a future, so living with the idea of a future, is what actually makes you suffer. Now, there can be vague plannings of things, like you've got to plan things in order to function, maybe not now when you live inside all the time, but in order to use the train or the aeroplane or to meet friends, there has to be a certain amount of planning. But this continuous story of you and where you exist in time and the idea that you have a future is not true. Like all of that is practicality, is functioning, but it isn't actually true. You don't have a future, you don't have a past. You're not a person that's running around in this world that's affected by the coronavirus. Who you are is this moment, and this moment is simply this moment, and nothing's actually changed with the coronavirus. Like you're still here, it's still this same presence, no matter where you are. That's not actually changed. What's changed is the person's thoughts, feelings, views, and perception on what's happening. And most people are so addicted to that they get very involved with that and then they suffer because of it. Whereas that's not who you are. It's the same presence. So if now you're confined to your house, it's actually the same experiencing as when you're at work, as when you're at your friend's house or your family's house or your lover's house, or when you're on holiday. It's no difference, this presence. So when I had this big shift in Bali in 2011, my boyfriend and I broke up, and he was Australian, and we had a place together, and it meant that I would lose my visa for living in Australia. Like I was on a relationship visa, so my whole life that I'd set up there would be different. And after we broke up, I went to Bali for a month to just chill out by myself and come to terms with it all. And even though there were moments of great sadness in the person about what was being lost, there was this deep, deep sense that there was the same presence no matter where I went, whether it be in Australia, Bali, England, the moon, whether I be inside, outside, have my dogs, I had to leave my dogs as well, be with Roger, that was my ex-partner, all of it, that was irrelevant. It was the same I am, it was the same presence. It's beautiful. And there was such a deep knowing of that in a way it wasn't any different. There wasn't any difference. And that's the same with this coronavirus. So if you've got lots of fear and nerves coming up about the coronavirus, like everyone's bound to get that. There was a moment today or yesterday, maybe it was today, where I just suddenly realized the enormity of it. Like, they're so big. And so there's bound to be moments, but if you're having lots of fear or lots of anxiety about what's going to be your future or what's going to come, or being at home with your family or looking after the kids, whatever it is, it's the same presence, and that's your happiness, that's your freedom. It's never in what happens, it's never in going on holiday or doing lots of different things or having lots of friendships. That's the person's sense of pleasure and pain, but pleasure and pain come and go. And then something like a world pandemic can't say this word very well, pandemic comes along, and then you're isolated. And none of it matters. So maybe you have stocks, or maybe your business is going bankrupt. It's the same for everyone. Everyone's in the same boat. But there's presence here, and that's all that's important. So when you go off into that world, obviously there need to be practical planning, and also I wouldn't ignore emotions, like give them some space, but at the same time, nothing matters here. This is free. And the time to give your emotions space, if you're mourning the end of your business, or if you're worried about the money, give that feeling space, allow it to come up and investigate it, but also see it's not true. It might be now that your government pays for you. We don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. Even the richest people in the world can't get out of this. No one can. It might be really beautiful and profound for society. We might have a really beautiful shift in our perception to nature and what we're doing to the world, and travel and the environment. Sorry. That's the cashew butter I had. I took a big spoonful of cashew butter before I went live, and then I forgot how sticky it is, and I was like trying for ages to swallow it. Okay. So this is your opportunity. This is like a retreat for everybody. Everybody gets a retreat. You get a retreat. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, I've still got cashew butter on my lips. And this type of thing, having the virus, what's so wonderful about it is you can see that all your worries and fears aren't true. So so we're actually in a situation which could be quite dire, we don't know, and it's okay. It's okay. It could get worse, but overall, you still have that sense of presence, and it is okay. When you're having fears and panic about what might happen, these fictional stories about this happening or that happening, or they did this or that person did that, that's all made up and in your brain, and you can see quite clearly now the contrast between it actually happening, so the world actually kind of collapsing a little bit. We don't know what happens, or this happening, and it's not as bad as you imagine. You've experienced much worse just from your mind attacking you. So you can see that everything is mine, nothing is true, because you're in a very difficult human situation, or kind of like a difficult, something that we didn't expect. It's not that bad, it could be worse. And it's okay. You're here. This presence is here. Right here. It's beautiful. Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry, let's go to some questions. Hey, Thomas. Happy Water Day. Is it Water Day? Or Mother's Day? It's Mother's Day in England. Hi, Lisa. This is Satyamani Mayi. Hi, Lisa. Simply wish to thank you for your sharing. With pleasure, Satyami. I'm not sure how you say your name. Hi, Divish. Hi, Nick. Hi, Carla. Hi, Lisa. Sending you lots of love. You make my heart smile. Oh, nice, Carla. Hi, Michael, I think it is. Hi, Lisa. Can you please say something about eating? Is there a connection from eating to increasing of the body? Why do we think we need to control our eating? What and how much we were eating? Why is the body increasing? Because of eating too much or unhealthy? Or just because we believe there is a connection? Can we do anything to not put on or lose weight? Thank you. Thanks for your question. Man, I'm becoming the eating expert. I remember a few weeks ago there was a lady with an eating disorder asking questions. I believe that everything is a state of mind. So it's all what these body-mind mechanisms believe. But, and this is the crazy making part, is that we don't control these body-mind mechanisms. So it's down to God as to what they believe and what they think and what their habits are. It's even down to God as to whether you get into this subject. So in one way, everything is what you believe. So if you believe you can put on weight, then you can put on weight. If you don't believe you can, you don't. And it's not just a mental thing, it's like a whole bodily, visceral experience. I think this, like even with the coronavirus, like we've collectively created this as beings. It's not a personal thing, it's not you or me or any person individually, but as a whole, as a collective. It's appeared from our subconscious. And yet it's one being that's controlling all of that. So and it's all down to God, all down to the divine. So it creates all these beings with all these desires create certain experiences. And we could say it's on the human level, we could say it's our desire, it's our creation. But then when you step out from the bird's eye perspective, you see that we aren't in control and there's something that is creating all our urges and impulses. But on the human level, it feels as if we do. So on the human level, if we put on weight and then we reduce eating, it feels like we lose weight. But the most important thing is mentality. It's not actually the activity of reducing food or eating more food, it's mentality. It's what you think and what you believe. I do think myself personally, I know that I have a tendency to think that if you eat too much, you'll put on weight, or if you eat too much bad food, you'll get sick. So I just stick to those laws because as of yet, I can't change that thought process. And when that thought process is changed, then my eating will change. If I no longer believe that, I'll be eating chips every night for dinner. I love chips. Chips in England are like French fries, not potato chips. I do like potato chips too, but I love chips. I was actually thinking about, I've got some potatoes down there and cutting them up tonight to make chips. I'm talking about having no future and then I'm already planning out my dinner. And I also have had an eating disorder in the past, so as a result of that, I don't fill my house with stimuli food. not because I'll binge on it. I don't binge on food like I used to, but because I don't want to put that food inside my body, and I know that there'll be some weak moment during the day or during that week where I'm like, and I'll eat the shitty food. I don't mind having shitty food occasionally, but I want to control how much shitty food I put into the body. Like just like 1 chocolate bar rather than like 4 chocolate bars a week or something. So I don't do that. I don't have shitty food in the house generally. So I never have the temptation to eat bad. And if I'm going to eat bad, then I have to go to the shops purposely to get a bad or naughty food. And that's the way I deal with food, because I know that in me, I do, firstly, I have had addiction to food before. So I think that addiction is firstly an emotional thing, something we've been trained, and something that's an emotional thing. And then also it can be a genetic thing where you've got a tendency towards it. I once had a dog called George. He was so sweet. He was a cross Labrador and Golden Retriever. And a known genetic default in Labradors is greed. So this is something that so all dogs, if you're not a dog fan, you might not know this, but all dogs are selectively bred. And we selectively breed habits that we want from the dogs. And a known defect of the Labrador, and the Labrador often dies from stomach problems, is that they have greed, terrible greed. And my dog had so much greed, he used to dig up my bulbs, the plants of the bulbs, the root bit of my plant, and eat them. He was so greedy. And like one time he found like this big roll of meat. He would eat anything. If it had a bit of food in it, he'd eat the whole thing, no matter what it was. So the roll of meat, and the roll of meat, you buy it from the supermarket and it has plastic all around it. And he found it and he just ate the whole thing with the plastic. And I was like, oh man, George, I think you're really dead this time. And then about 2 days later, he threw up a perfect ball of plastic. Amazing. And I think that I have that. My dad had a tendency to be greedy as well. He also was a vegan. And I think it's a tendency, just like if your parents are alcoholics, then you'll have that tendency towards it. So it's most probably best that you don't drink, or you don't, for me, like stimulate myself with naughty food. Because the other problem with naughty food is once you get a taste for it, everything else has to become more naughty. You have to have more higher tastes on all your other foods. Yeah. So to answer your question, I do think it's a state of mind, but you have to work with what you've got. You can't like force yourself. You can't be like, from now on, I'm not going to believe that food makes me put on weight. You can intellectually think that, but you can't force your body to think that. Like your being still feels that. Like thoughts are ingrained in our system. So yes, everything is a state of mind. You've got to be honest and realistic about the makeup of your body. And then from the makeup of your body, then you can address what it is that you want. So if you're overeating, then it's most probably a psychological thing, because I think that I've got a genetic predisposition to being greedy with food. Like I think that I get very stimulated by food. I notice my dog, George, like if you just even mentioned food, like drool would just come out of his mouth. And I can feel this happen in me, that like I just see or think about my potatoes, or about cheesecake, or chocolate cake, or chocolate, ice cream, any of that naughty food, and the glands in my mouth produce saliva. Like I could be one of those dogs that's like, no. So I think I've got that, and I know with my partner, he's like not so interested with food. It's like, so I think I'm stimulated by food, but I think that I don't have a problem with food because I really understand my functioning. So I understand that I can't have naughty food in the house. I get overstimulated by it, and even though I'm not going to binge on it, I'm going to end up at one point, you know, when I've had a puff on something that makes you hungry, or I'm tired, I'm going to eat the naughty food, and I don't want to get into that business of doing that. I just got salt in my mouth. So I understand that, and I keep to that rule. But if I am in a house with naughty food, then I just adjust to that. And then 2, I understand the psychology around overeating. And like, it doesn't come up in me anymore to eat, to deny my emotions. And that's what a lot of people do. Or they use it for comfort. Or they use it to protect themselves. Or they use it because they're bored. It's like all these different things. So some people have to go through really psychologically, and I did too, understanding your relationship with food. Like, when are you eating? And you can even get apps now for this, like writing down when you eat and why you eat and the emotion that you have when you eat, and you'll see a pattern in it. So yeah. Nice, thank you for your question. Lots of love, Michael. Michael, I always get muddled up between Michelle and Michael. You know, my dyslexia. I'm not sure if that's Michael or Michelle. Could be either one. It looks similar to a dyslexic. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Lisa. I was checking your videos and I was a bit confused. I couldn't find any of them that are talking about walk through the walls or going out of the body visiting space. It must be a good time to reveal your famous secret. Thank you for the talk. Walking through the walls. Actually, when I first got interested in this subject, I read a Buddhist book about this lady who could walk through walls, who could go back in time and leave her body, and she could go back and listen to like the Buddhist sermons, and I was like, I want that. And so that was my initial idea of enlightenment. That was my first, like, the idea of going back in time and visiting the Buddha. That really got me. I was like, yeah. Aloha. Zen monk in quarantine. That's sweet. Hello, Gabriel. Enjoy, Gabriel. Hello, Julio. Welcome to my retreat center. Oh, wow. Nice. Hope you're well, Julio. Lots of love. Hi, Anu. Hello, Lisa. In a way, it's so beautiful what is happening. Yeah. Yeah. The whole world is coming to a stop. Your International Water Day today. Happy Mother's Day too. Oh, yes, International Water Day. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Jara. Hi, Lisa. I find myself wanting to pray for those who are in danger. Not everyone gets a retreat. For some children, they are worse off at home with an abusive other than at school with a loving teacher, or suffering in their human form. I realize there is only this, so the best option to do in this human form is to just be still and know, aka just remember I am. Prayers won't help because there is no God to pray, yeah? Well, there is no God that's separate from you to pray to, but I do think that our thoughts and our intentions have a powerful effect. And I do believe, personally, if everyone believed that we could beat the coronavirus tonight just through thought, then it would happen. But we've got to collectively do it. It's no good just one of us doing it. So if everyone thought there could be a vaccine or that we could just stop it through our mind or whatever, then that could happen. And yeah, there are some difficult situations for people. I can imagine. Like, imagine if you live in India, like sometimes people in India, there's like lots of people living in one very small room, and then they're all confined to it. It's going to be hard for some people. Hi, Michael. Thank you for the refreshing reminder of who, what we really are. Question. Would you consider doing some extra live streams during these next few weeks? Love, Michael and Maria. Hey Michael and Maria. Yeah, if it comes up, I will do that, either through YouTube or Facebook. I'm currently writing my book, so I'm pretty occupied all the time writing this book about a cat called Andrew that lives in a cult. But if it comes to my heart to do it, I will go live and do some extra talks. Yeah, thanks for asking. Hi Milsho. Hi Kim. Hi Simon. Guten Abend, Ibelisa. I don't know what that means. Thank God for your being. Be healthy and blessed. The talk is the answer to a question that was rising inside me on past days. I'm always amazed observing this firm connection among seeing separate beings. God bless. And how is it there in Iran? Like, is it, I know you're a doctor in Iran, and the cases are unconfirmed, and people weren't abiding, I heard, by lockdown, or maybe they are. In Germany, it's very respectful, and my life changes very little because I realize now I always was and always am on what everyone else calls isolation or self-isolation. It's no different. The only difference is that when I go for a walk, I'm trying my best to just stay a little bit further away from people. But that's it. And I'm not even trying that much. It's just for older people I try a little. Like, and I see them. But yeah, not even that much. That's it. But yeah. Lisa, considering the pandemic. Yeah, I'm trying to put an A in there. Sorry. Thank you for getting that. I'm dyslexic, and dyslexics do very well with phonetic spelling. So pandemic. Considering the pandemic, what effect does prayer have? Do you pray? I don't pray, but I think it's important to recognize what it is you want and to bring that into consciousness. And you can't really change your wants in the moment like this. Like sometimes if you're in just a bad mood or in a negative state, then you can move it to the positive. But we have these ingrained thoughts and you have to be honest to it. And if I'm honest, like when I think about this want of society and this pandemic, like for me personally, like I don't want people to suffer. I want people to be free and happy. But there is a part of me that I also realize that I do want humanity to wake up. Like people treat each other so badly and they're so cruel and mean to each other, and not all the time, and to themselves, and to the environment, and to animals. And that part I would like to wake up. And so there is this part, because I studied all of this stuff a lot with Indian teachers, where they've talked about pandemic, I want to go pandemic appearing, and there being a shift in consciousness. And I have to be honest, there is a desire in for me for mass shift in consciousness. I mean, I do these talks. I mean, I have for 7 or 8 years, I did these talks twice a week for free. There's obviously this inclination in my body. So it's not like I do or don't want the coronavirus. Like I don't want people to suffer, but I do want there to be a shift in humanity. And when it comes to the coronavirus, like that's the feeling that comes up in me, is that this is the possibility for humans to have a mass shift in consciousness if they're open for it. And there's so many beautiful things in society too. I don't mean to only paint the negative, but there's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of unfairness. And I would love that to change. There's also really beautiful things, like in the local town here, people are like go set up a Facebook page and going out shopping for older people or people that are vulnerable, and yeah, there's really lovely things happening, and I feel this camaraderie, this sense of being comrade. I can't say it. Yeah, that's gone, that word. And I know if I use my computer to say the words, then it sometimes switches off my microphone, so I can't do it. That's my answer in everyday life, is my computer. I get my computer to speak it. Yeah, so that's my feeling. So I'm not praying for this to stay or to go. I'm praying for, and it's not praying, it's like, it's my natural wants in my body. So that to me is what we most probably define as prayer. It's my natural want of the body, and my prayer or my natural want is that I don't want people to suffer. I want people to be free, but I also want there to be a shift in consciousness. And I'm open for this being that. But I'm also open for it going back to the way it always was as well. I don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah. So, and I do believe you can recondition your wants, but that takes a period of time. Hi, Ines. Hi, Lisa. I realised the lights got very bright because the other thing's gone off. Hello. Hi, Lisa. I had a question but removed it because it feels you're answering it already. Take care. Love. The whole world is in a retreat as well. Nice. Thanks, Ines. Hi, Isabel. Love you. Hi, Ro. Hi, Gail. So everything that happens, the me or no me, eating or not eating, doing or not doing, nothing, being sick or healthy, is part of the dance and cannot be changed because it's already perfect as it appears. It's just our belief that we have to change what appears, but it's not possible to change anything because there is no me who can change it. So, Michael, so everything that appears, the me or the no me, eating or not eating, doing or not doing, I just don't know where to stop because the sentence is so long, is part of the dance and cannot be changed because it seemingly can be changed. So if you've got difficulties with eating, there seems to be an investigation that can happen and exercises that can appear that changes the course of your relationship with food. But the assumption that you're doing that is a lie. So I think what's happening in you slightly, Michael, is that you're crossing over levels. So on the human level, it appears as if we can do things. So it appears that I can chop up my potatoes after I finish this talk, put some oil on them and some salt and some herbs, and then bake them in the oven. And it appears like I can choose to do that as opposed to cooking myself a stir fry. Feels like it's a choice. I'm presuming more than likely it's going to be the potatoes, but it's seemingly a choice that I'm making, and it feels like it's my choice. But on the ultimate level, that choice is happening. So science says that when I go to do that after this talk, make my potatoes, science says that, you know, when I actually pick it up, I already made that choice up to 6 seconds prior to picking up the potatoes. So you can see that it's not actually you doing it, even though it comes with the appearance of choice. So if you want to heal from an eating disorder, say, then it appears like it's your choice and that you have to put effort into it. I meet a lot of people with like depression or eating disorders or alcoholism, and they believe it's not them, they've got to do nothing, and if they sit on the sofa they'll be miraculously cured. which is a possibility. There's always that possibility, but more than likely it's going to come through your effort to change that. And most of the time that's really scary for people because people are terrified of effort. They also like it because it gives them some hope as well. But either way, it's kind of like illusory anyway. You're just here in the moment, and the impulse is to change the eating disorder, and that's what you attempt to do by healthy exercises. So one healthy exercise would be not to buy naughty food in the house if you're having problems with eating food. So that would be something. But then at the same time, it's God's will as to whether that happens. Because who is the person choosing? The one that appears to be choosing is a complete illusion. The one that's like, oh, I'm going to go and get some Ben Jerry's. This is something that's happening. It's not actually the doer, but it appears like you do. Isn't that really contradictory and wonderful? Is it just our belief that we have to change what appears? So what happens is that when we separate from ourselves, which is consciousness, which happens when the identity kicks in at like 3 or 4 or 5, something like that, we begin to identify more with the timeline, more with the story of you, that I'm 5 years old, I have a bicycle, I like my mum, my dad, I have siblings, I go to school. And then what happens is, rather than just being, and that innocence and that wonder, we begin to identify with the story of who we're being told we are and who we believe we are. And then that game goes on for 20, 30 years maybe before it's confronted. And that game creates suffering because you become a limitation and you detach from your body. In order to maintain this game, you have to live up here in your brain. And you have to be constantly imagining who you are, who you want to be, who you want others to see you to be, what you want your life to be, where you're going to go, where you've been. So you're constantly like focused on this chakra, the third eye, and this image of you, because your body, because it's a lie, your body goes into like tightness and discomfort, and the chakras close because you're always lying to yourself about your experience. You're not conscious of it, but you're believing that you are something you're not, which is a body-mind that's moving through time. So when that begins to happen, that is uncomfortable. And then what we do from that discomfort, what this identity does, is it then tries to obtain more pleasure to get away from its own discomfort, but it has no consciousness of this. It always has a reason as to why it's uncomfortable, because this person is an asshole, because my parents didn't raise me correctly, because I made the wrong choice. There's always a reason as to why you're unhappy. And then there's always, for most people, a solution. If I had more money, if I didn't have to be isolated, if I had kids, if my kids lived nearer, if my kids cared more, whatever the story is. So this person then has all these stories, and then it seeks for pleasure to try and make itself feel better. So it seeks to get the kids' attention, say. It seeks to get money. And then it believes that that's going to actually make it feel better in this life. But it's never going to make you feel better. What's going to make you feel better is yourself, which is presence. Right here. So totally losing control. I know that sounds weird, but it's like letting go of that person. And it's not the death of that person, it's like this death of that connection to that person, that's who you are, and it's sinking into the silence of what you are, and just letting that person arise when it needs to arise, rather than this other micromanager that's like, me, my things, this is my things. This gets contradicted, what's your things now, when we're all isolated and we don't know what jobs we're going to get or what the society is going to be like after. I don't know, I feel very drunk tonight. I'm not drunk. I've not smoked any wacky backy, but I feel very drunk, so I don't know if I'm always making sense. It's like this connection to freedom, that there's not so much energy going into the thinking mind. So it could be that I'm not making correct sentences, or I'm jumping all over the place. I can't tell so much. Hi, Anchor. Yes, an awakening pandemic. Let it come. Hey, Gabriel. How do you feel about the whole collective situation? For many, including me, it triggers seeming gratuitous joy, and it is conceivable for you that all of this can also lead to collective awakening, or at least that many people can simply recognize their true nature. Oh, you just answered the question. Nice. Hi, Simon. Unfortunately, there is no serious quarantine here in Iran. Most people pay enough attention to the situation, and the minority have no care. The numbers stated by the government are completely irrational, and as far as I know, the numbers are 2 or 3 times the standard amount. I also enjoy this isolation, but I can feel the urge inside my extroverted friends who are spending a difficult time these days. And you're not called in to be a doctor, like to help? I know you're not fully qualified, but I thought that was happening. Beautiful thoughts, Lisa. Yes, it seems obvious to be part of a greater shift in consciousness. A lotus flower blooms in the rough conditions. Lots of people will turn inward and be conditioned to accept a slower pace, to smell the roses and listen to the birds chirping. It's all part of the play, and it's beautiful no matter how it pans out. Nice, thanks, Thomas. Gail, I feel like not much has changed for me either. I'm an artist, unknown income. I'm in a lot of solitude. The only things changed are the social distance and the empty grocery shelves, and to getting my daily Tim Hortons coffee. Nice, Gail. Yeah, we didn't have that so much here, the sold out shops. It was sold out of toilet paper and cleaning products, but I think they've got some back in now. Hi Lisa, I have a strong tension on my neck and head, also a little bit on the entire body. Do you think it's possible that the cause is the energetic shifts or others' profound realizations? Thank you. It begins some months later, the shift in consciousness, and it increases with time. Do you have some advice? I try all. Thank you. It's most probably a releasing from that energetic shift, so your body begins to relax more and more, become more and more in balance, and in that it has to let go of old ways of being and old tensions. So my advice is very simple, it's just giving it attention, just spending time with it. Just laying on your back. When I used to have a sore neck. When I was younger, I had lots of sore neck and neck problems, and it was mostly to do with that I didn't speak out and I didn't say what it was that I wanted. It was also to do with my meditation pose, so I can see its position, like I can see it's like lots of things, but part of it was about speaking out. But when I did have it, I used to lay on my back on the floor with a book under my head, just a small book, and this helped it a lot. But it was a lot about not speaking out and not saying what I want and what I don't want, which is super important on the human level. Not knowing what I want, not being truthful. I wasn't a liar like that, but I wasn't truthful to what I was feeling. I was trying to be something, and I wasn't even conscious of that. Michael, why does the eye fall away for a few hours and then come back? It's switching from the me to this wonderful freedom and loves many times a day. That's so frustrating. I wouldn't focus on it. Just move your attention away from that. It's just a story that's taking up your attention. To see it's just a story. Comes and goes. Hi Monique, do you have a suggestion how I can change the connotation I have with a word? I would like to change the feeling I get with the word relationship. Now I feel fear because relationship to me now means a chance to hurt or to be hurt. I like to change the meaning to passion, love, attraction, ease, sharing, beauty, and caring, flow. How do I change automatic thoughts and feelings that come up with a word? Thanks. I feel it the most in my throat and belly, on my chest and lower back. Yes, it's just practice. So say if you think the word relationship and your whole throat tightens up, you first of all have to acknowledge the unconscious thought that's appearing when you think relationship. So the unconscious thought might be, it won't work. It never works out for me. It never works out for me. It never works out for me. And you just need to give that some space. So really feel that thought and then start saying the opposite. It will work out for me. It will work out for me. It will work out for me. And this is the way you begin to recondition your chakras. It doesn't mean that you have to be in the positive all the time. It's just a way of pulling you out of the negative. Maria says you're making total sense. Oh, nice. So I think I call it a night for tonight. Because I don't feel too well. I haven't got the coronavirus, I don't think, but I can just feel that my body's not too well. I have the feeling it's hay fever. Yeah. I send you lots of love and I wish you well everywhere. Thank you. Goodbye.